there was a lot of rape and killing. Like a lot of women were also killed because the soldiers would rape them and then they would kill them because rape, or if the person reported the rape, it meant jail or hanging. So basically, I eventually like you'll see pictures of four people hanging, and what those are is those are rapists or murderers that were caught by the unit soldier. And actually, I said if anything happens to the generals or to leaders of the group, I said if this happens, then it's going to be you that's hanging on that post if you don't report it. And that's actually how I got them to turn in the people that raped or killed innocent women and children. So that's and that was basically a cross board between the German side, the Russian side, and the American side. Was at first it was just jail time, and then what happened is the is the what was it? So I lost my train of thought. What happened is, oh, lost my train of thought completely, totally. Anyway, though, for looting, oh, that's right. What happened is, at first it was just jail time, but then the soldiers were like, who cares, so what? It's just a couple days in jail, or it's a week or two in jail. They still raped the women. But the women did report it somewhat. So, and they reported it actually safely. So, because the guys were like, I don't care, I'm just going to go spend a couple days in jail after I rape this girl. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, though, it wasn't until I actually made it a hanging sentence for any soldier that I'd raped more than 5 or 10 women that they actually started killing the women. And then that was an automatic hanging. So, it escalated a little bit. Because of my laws or my rules, I was like, look, it's going to be this way, and then, like I say, and then, I mean, some of the soldiers tried to discourage their other soldiers, but some soldiers still, some women said, "Boys will be boys." That's what one of the women, I think it was Jackie Kennedy or someone, or one of the Kennedys was like, "Boys will be boys." Anyway, because they were raping the women. So anyway, so I made it an automatic hanging and actually ordered them in World War I and World War II to hang them from posts and leave them at the front of the base with a note on them saying, I raped someone, or something, some sort of note basically denoting what they did, which is basically rape or killing of innocent civilians, including women and children. So, like I say, looting was just, you do a couple days in jail, or a week or two or a month in jail, basically, for looting. And pretty much it was automatic court-martial and expulsion from the military, whether you be a German soldier or an American soldier. Like I said, I had to do the military rules first. So anyway, that's what all the pictures of the 4 or 5 people hanging, or some of the... I generally like to hang them, not actually shoot them in front of a firing squad, because I wanted them to hang around for a while, or at least be around for a while as a testimony to other people. They said civilians, what about the civilians that rape people? I was like, you can if you absolutely know that they're rapists, like 50 or more rapes or something like that, because there were some citizens that were doing it as well. Anyway, though, but mostly I just cared about my military. So, I mean, light rules. I mean, I was just trying to, because the women were like, they're raping us, they're hurting us, and there's lots of things saying that these soldiers raped us. They finally came forward. At first, they didn't come forward for fear of reprisal from me or the government, and I was like, no, I want you to come forward. So, they eventually actually did come forward and say that the German military or the U.S. military did, or the soldiers, the Russians or whatever. I said, no, we want to know. I want to know. Lucifer, creator, whatever, the person who set up America, I want to know what my soldiers are doing. So they came forward, and a few of them were killed, though, of course, by either the soldiers that had raped them or by the government or whatever, trying to hide it or something like that. Like I said, they didn't want to come forward. They thought the Führer would be blamed or whatever, me or something like that. I don't know. There's even some soldiers that said, well, he told us to rape them. It's like, no, I never said that. So anyway, that's what all there were quite a few posts set up in Germany. You can see them in lots of the films. There'll be like 4 people hanging or 2 people hanging like at the side of the road or at the entrance to a military base. And that's what that is. Like I said, I didn't want a witch hunt. I was like at least 5 women and some sort of verification of rape. So anyway, and later on I actually even had a female officer that would actually talk to the women about whether or not they were raped. Like I said, the rapes happened in the concentration camps. The rapes happened everywhere. So anywhere there was women, there was rape apparently. So by men, even in the concentration camp open yard at lunch. Like I said, the women said, we do not want to go eat lunch because they rape us there. So I said, okay, we're gonna, because I don't know, there was a mess hall or something. It was hidden. So I said, all right, move lunch or whatever outside, so it'll be in plain view of all the guard towers or whatever. So there were a couple different things that I did to try and prevent the rape and the hurting of the women. It was a problem. It still is a problem. It's a problem in the jails. That's why we finally just separated men and women in the concentration camps, because it was just a huge problem. So women apparently couldn't be safe around some men or something like that. Anyway, though, because they were together at first, but then they were moved apart. And there was also jealousy happening about this woman sleeping with that guy and stuff like that. And I was just like, look, I have a country to run here. Just separate them if it's going to be like that. So they were separated. Anyway, and so unfortunately, married women, I tried to set up another camp for married men and women, so where they could be together or something. I mean, I had loads and loads, like going through World War I and going through World War II, even though I won, I had a lot of things to just work out, like the DP camps, everything that was all me and stuff. And so I was like, oh, all right. So I was just trying to deal with it. So anyway, even as a young child, I was like, it doesn't really matter. I'm still the leader. So, all right. So we kind of tried it one way. We tried another way. And then eventually I was like, all right, we're just going to separate them. And then, but I did it so the gates were open so they could go out from each camp. The camps actually, I think at one point in time, were close together. So there was a men's camp and a women's camp. And they could walk outside to the city and then do or be whatever. And there were rapes happening out there, and so I had to have the soldiers actually go with them somewhat, the women at least. So, you know, it was really bad. The things I heard about were really bad. It was really bad. I had to have soldiers actually walk with the women, 4 women to a soldier. I figured 1-on-1 wasn't good enough. One soldier could overpower 1 woman, so I was like, okay, 4 women to a soldier then. And so they would walk with them because at one point in time they did lunch in the city and not at the camp or something like that, because at one point in time they're locking the gates, and I was like, all right, we'll move the food outside or something like that. Anyway, it was just a couple, there was issues, and I was like working through it because I wanted to make sure the gates were open so the people could leave and then could come back.